10 tips to boost your confidence as a leader. So let's get started. So first is you need to set clear goals and objectives. Now, I'm not talking about just SMART goals, which are helpful, but also intentions and purposes to the work that you're doing. So sometimes you can't set a goal because it isn't clear and you don't have enough data about what you're trying to achieve. But if you set a purpose instead, then you can focus on that. And that will allow you to have a direction, a North Star to move towards. Because if you don't know what's important and what you're moving towards, then it's going to be near impossible to know if you're getting there and to know if you're progressing. Number 2, the second way that you can boost your confidence is learn from your mistakes. The research is there, we don't learn by getting everything right, and that expectation of ourselves and others is unrealistic. So what you can do instead is see mistakes and failures as learning opportunities and actually ensure that you reflect on a regular basis about what you've learned from your previous week or month. Another one that often gets overlooked is self-care. It's the third one of my top 10 tips for leadership confidence. Self-care is really important because if you aren't topped up, it's near impossible for you to be able to keep going and to sustain the progress you're making. So self-care isn't just a fluffy thing. I'm not just talking about bubble baths and chocolate, although those things are fabulous. I'm also talking about exercising regularly, eating enough nutritional food, sleeping enough, detaching from work enough. The fourth step is to build your knowledge and skills. And as I've talked about before, we've got to build 3 aspects for leadership development to be effective: knowledge, skills, and being, our presence. Now, often what happens is leaders will unconsciously cover up what they don't know or skip past it or devalue it because you don't know what to do with it if you're not good at it. When you're really good at something, it makes it really challenging to know that you need to develop on other things. The reason it's challenging is if you're really good at something, but you're really bad at something else, you're going to feel a vulnerability whenever you interact with what you're really bad at. So there's 2 ways to get around this as a leader. One is if it's not your area of expertise or doesn't directly relate to your role, make sure that the person who's responsible for that work you trust and you can work well with. Build a relationship with people with the skills you don't have. The second thing is if it is a skill or knowledge you should have, find a way to develop it. You can do it formally through leadership development, the leadership book club, you can do it through reading and podcasts, but generally the most effective learning isn't the knowledge you intake and the skills you know about, but your practice and your reflection on how to improve that. The next thing, and which is really important, is surround yourself with supportive people. The more senior people become, the harder and harder it is to talk to people because they can no longer have colleagues the way they used to. You tend to have to be a little bit more isolated. So it's really important that you have a supportive network around you. This ensures that you have A, a sustainable approach to your leadership, but B, that when things are difficult, you have people around you who aren't going to use that against you, but instead support you. You can do this through formal relationships such as a therapist, a coach, a mentor, or you can do it through informal relationships like a board of advisors or friends you really trust. But having supportive people around you is really important. The next one, the 6th element of building your confidence is seek feedback. One of the things that we don't think about often around leadership roles is that the people who give us feedback are often tailoring it and editing it because we have power over them or they don't want the negative implications of our reaction. So we have to get really good at getting feedback, not just from people we like and not just from people that like us, but from a diverse range of stakeholders throughout the organization. That will give us a more in-depth understanding of ourselves and help us understand not just what we think we need to develop, but what other people feel we could improve. The 7th of the 10 confidence tips for leaders is take on challenges. If you aren't taking on new challenges, you aren't getting vulnerable and you aren't stretching your comfort zone. You're not building, you're going to stagnate and you're going to stall. So you need to take on new challenges, whether professional or personal. It's really important that you take on new challenges. Number 8 of the 10 leadership confidence tips is practice public speaking. There is no leadership role that will not require you to effectively speak in public. You can do this through groups like Toastmasters, or you can do it informally by creating a speaking club in your organization, or joining clubs and speaking on their behalf outside of the organization, or you can simply do it by working with a coach and practicing speaking up in meetings more effectively. The ninth, but almost sometimes the most important one of the 10 tips for leadership confidence is develop a mindset, a growth mindset and a positive attitude. If you believe that you can only be as good as you are today, then you're going to struggle at leading because people are going to take you over. If you don't have a positive attitude and an approach that you can learn and grow with your role, then you're going to always be very critical of yourself and never think you're doing good enough, but you're also going to hold back those who are following you. Because if you are not tipping the edge of growth and positivity, just when your followers and the people who work with you need you to, you're going to not be the leader that they need. So you need it for your own career development, but you also need it to support your organization. If you do not believe growth is possible, if you do not focus on ways of finding solutions, but are more problem orientated, you're going to really struggle to lead and influence others. Because we can all be scared, we can all live in fear, but not everybody can inspire a step forward. And that's a big part of leadership. The 10th, and definitely the most important, even though I said 9 might be, the 10th and most important tip for the 10 ways to have leadership confidence is to believe in yourself. Back yourself. Most of the time, leaders come to me with a list of things that are wrong that need to be changed. And while they may need to develop that and improve that, and that may be valid, if you do not believe in yourself, you're going to really struggle to get others to believe in you at crucial moments. If you do not back yourself and do what's important for you and in your life and your career, then you're going to really struggle to take a stand when it's important, to make a critical decision. Self-doubt happens to everybody at different points for different reasons. We all have triggers. It happens to everybody. But to live in that self-doubt, to feed that self-doubt, to find evidence that that self-doubt is true is really unhelpful. It will solidify you in a fixed mindset, meaning keeping you stuck. It will move you into negative thinking, and we already have a negative bias. We already naturally know what the threats are. It actually requires us to focus on what we can do, what support we need, who we need to talk to, what can be done, what the solutions are, and we need to believe in ourselves. And believing in ourselves doesn't require us to know everything or to think we have all the answers. In fact, I would say that's a little delusional and probably not helpful. Believing in ourselves is believing that when things get difficult, I will seek out the right data, information, people, practices, and solutions. I will, in the moment, rise to the occasion, be curious, take a growth mindset and a positive attitude, and find a way through. Believing in ourselves doesn't require us to know everything and to have all the answers, but instead to trust that in difficult times we can figure it out with the right supports, the right structures, the right strategies. So they are my top 10 tips for leadership confidence. And each one is really important to be nurtured over time and nourished. And it's okay if you're sitting there and you're saying, oh, I'm missing 3 of those, or I'm missing 6 of those, or I'm missing 7 of those. These 10 tips did not come from nowhere. They've come from over a decade of working with leaders around being effective in their role. And this means that most leaders I work with have at least 2 to 4 of these they're working on at any one time. Some are skill orientated, some are mindset orientated, some are emotionally orientated, and some are knowledge orientated. And any one of those areas, if you need extra support in, you can sign up for every 2 weeks, my leadership letters are sent out. You can join the 2023 book club. The links are below, or you can contact me for a free consultation to discuss leadership coaching or leadership training for your organization. The details are below. I look forward to speaking with you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to pop me an email as well. Take care.